Hello, sir. My name is Dhaval Pandav. I am from collegedunya.com. A very warm welcome to our interview series, which is called Thoughts on Education, where we interview with the various dignitaries such as owners, VCs, principals, HODs, and teachers. Before I proceed with this interview, I would request you to give brief introduction about yourself. Sir.
Yeah, hi. Hi there. Thanks for having us today. My name is Vivek Gautam, and I was an ex-badminton player, now running a successful kind of a small entrepreneur, which you are knowing about as INIFD Andheri. And we have been there in this particular industry for last 20 years.
It was really nice knowing about you and your experience, sir. So my first question is, being the director of INIFD Andheri Bandra, what is the philosophy of leadership, and how would you describe your leadership style?
So I don't know I'm a leader or no, or I can define myself as a leader, but my essence of working is that how I can better myself in my approach towards the thought process which I want to achieve. So when I started 20 years back, that time the whole scenario in design industry was completely different, and the approach towards design student was also very challenging. People used to think that okay, design has no future, no career, and from that time to seeing now everybody is talking about design and design career is on its own proves so many things that what I set my path for. So it has been like that okay, how a design could become such a niche career aspiration. So this is what I was talking about, like okay, 20 years back nobody thought, but we kept on thinking that no, this is the area which our country should focus on, and we did achieve.
How do you strategize about the key programs and plan for the marketing and administration of your institute?
So key focus, if I define, is always being student centric. So it is like how I can better whatever the student, because being in private, I don't get that choice of selection of my students, which lot of government colleges have the privilege, because they are already being marketed that way. There are a lot of preparatory classes have started, a lot of entrance happens, and this happens and that happens. So there is a whole legacy which they feel proud of. But being from a private thing, we don't get sometimes those legacy, and so whatever we are facing, the challenge is that whatever students we get, we have to manage with them in terms of their capacity and their thing. But what is the beauty of it, when we started training these kids, was the best part that wherever they came from, some people were like that, they never thought of, they took a chance to in the design field, and today they are having a successful brand and successfully running their empire. So the idea and the fear of joining a premium institute or a very government oriented institute is no longer a factor for you to be known in the industry. And that in 20 years we could achieve that. Today if you're going to a designer for as an internship or as a work profile or a job profile, our resume of our student will equally be weightage as compared to any of the government colleges run. So that's the thing we got into it.
The education system in India and other foreign countries are structured very differently. In your experience, what can inbound students gain by studying here?
So if we are comparing education in abroad and the approach in India, definitely there will be a in terms of difference in approach, because the foreign universities work in a fixed pattern, and they have not constantly keep on changing that aggressively, because they have a history which they keep on boosting and they keep on running on it. Whereas as a small unit, what we do is that we constantly are updated, not only locally but even to our foreign partners. So what happens that we have a 1 month residential program in London, and a lot of teachers from London universities, they teach there. So all this amalgamation and mix exposure actually tends to benefit our Indian students studying locally, because if you just see all the students who have been passed out from IIT or all that, they all have studied here, but today they are global heads. Why they did not go to Harvard directly in the first place? Why they had to go through a Indian education system and then probably go out and outperform? So outer the exposure and the reachable, the structure is much more supportive as compared to the professionals in India. But the you say it's like if you want to create an iron sword, you just can't have the sword ready made, right? So the banging of that iron, I feel in India still that hunger of education, and that is much more far better, and an institute like us, we bring that to the table for our students so that they get a global experience right at the at their doorstep, and that knowledge they can take it and expand it further.
What do you think should be the institute's top priority over the next 10 years?
So, that I feel that India as is the story which you always hear, that India is shining and you have to feel proud of India, and this is all over. So, and this is the same thing which we always thought, and this is the example I gave you, that how our education system and training our kids here was much better in terms of lot of ways, so that the students, when they go abroad, they are locally also doing industry work, they are creating those gems, they're creating those brand this thing. So my idea is for another 10 years is that why can't we have our own local brands at a global level? Now that trend is already started. So 20 years back, it was a dream that whether we can be a Dior, Chanel or Versace, we just imagine that. Today, if you see the film industry also, we could imagine that this cinematography or this visuals can be really achieved. It was like impossible. But today, all our production, if you see, they're reaching that kind of a benchmark in their production. The same is happening with our industry also. So I think in this 10 years, we should be able to produce and take out of these students at a global platform. So these will be the students who will be nurtured in India, grown in India, homegrown, and having a global brand impact. So name a few you already have in this 10 years. If you see that Rahul Mishra, Masaba Gupta, they're all like story of 10 years. They're not the story of 20 years or 30 years. So they're all stories of this from last younger generation. So this competition is increasing day by day, and now we have that chance to grow. We are not like still mature, 100-year or 200-year-old, this thing. And plus the heritage, what we have, the legacy, the designs, we are talking about now in depth. We are talking about, our architectural culture, our architecture background, a lot of inspiration which Britishers and other people took from Indian architect, and they applied in their modern ideas, which was not known to us also. But with technology and all that, we are also coming to know that there are a lot of things which others have taken from us and we did not know about it. So recent show happened of Dior, a lot of embroideries were used, localized things were used. So why a Western outfit or Western approach will use Indian motifs? So they have been using, but we were never exposed to that in depth. But with this technology and with all what is happening, we are reaching to you through a medium, and this medium is becoming more and more relevant, with Instagram and this and that. So now we know there are a lot of designs, which others are following or taking inspiration from our heritage and our culture. Why not we also value it and we also put our minds to it? So there's so much of things to do, either in interiors or in fashion, creating new fabrics, discovering new design philosophy and approach That's what I feel. So this tenure, I think we should contribute, mostly towards this particular, background, and definitely, keeping sustainability and So again, when I talk about sustainability, in our household, Dali and mother have all these, use recyclable. There has been, using clothes recyclable. Now Westerners are talking about these, and not to waste, use recycling, processes in the house, and not use, chemical dye, use Indian dye or the organic dyes. So this is all we were, as a kid, we have grown into, organic way of living. So we should be able to capitalize that in this, coming years.
Any suggestion you would like to give to the current youth and aspiring students?
Yeah, keep yourself, focused. Don't get distracted too much on, as I said, technology has advantages and has got disadvantages also. So don't fall into the trap of, nuisance value, but do use technology into a very, very constructive time, because this is the time of India. So Indian story is now happening. So I want every youth to understand the importance and not follow Indian story into the complete, following a Western kind of a lifestyle, but looking more of towards the career, and the other beautiful part of the, generation which is coming. Yeah.
It was pleasure talking to you and interviewing on Thoughts on Education, sir. Thank you so much.